Well, welcome to the Young Lawyer podcast. It's great to have you on. If you just want to introduce yourself and I guess start with how you began your legal journey.
Yeah, hi everyone. Michael Bidwell here. I am a environment and planning solicitor at Herbert Smith Freehills, and I also sit as a director and vice president of Queensland for Pride in Law. I guess the way my journey started is when I was 19, I moved here from the States on my own, so all the family's still over there, and I think with the current political climate over there and the way that COVID's been managed, it's made me very grateful that I made that decision when I was young. And I studied law and environmental science at Griffith University, did the usual clerkships, and then went through the grad program at one firm, and then I've now ended up here at Herbert Smith Freehills, and I've been here nearly 2 years.
Well, that's a big change coming all the way from the States. What made you want to jump on and come over to Australia?
Yeah, it started by I signed up to a website that I knew I wanted to go to uni outside of Michigan. That's the state I grew up in. And I ticked international thinking, why not? And Griffith University emailed and said that they had the law and environmental science double, which really enticed me. I was always kind of thinking that, environmental law and kind of with climate change, it was going to be at the forefront as a legal area that would really become quite important in the future, and I've seen that change happen. So to have kind of, I guess, the technical skill of environment plus the legal side has been really beneficial. And Australia was, because law is an undergrad here, you can do the 2 degrees together. I think at 19, I was just like looking for a good time and thought I would stay here for 6 months. But I think I had some of that maturity to actually think, oh, this could actually be quite good for my future.
Yeah, that's such an interesting change, that's for sure, but obviously worked out in the end. What is it about the law that attracts you so much to it?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most, I think, empowering professions. So we learn how to advocate, we learn how to make the best argument. We're in a very fortunate position, most of us, to help others and to do our part, whether that's through community legal centres or, whatever advocacy groups or, I guess, not-for-profits you're passionate about. But I think, it's just that you're part of this profession and we all get to contribute to it in our own way, and we all get to try to make it better and make it better for other people. So I think I love that it's just always evolving. I think with a lot of other areas of work, it's kind of rather stagnant, whereas the law is always changing. It has to meet society's expectations. So to me, it's just exciting that it changes all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting way to look at it, because it is always changing and always developing according to society's standards. And so how did you find your transition, like going from a student to a lawyer?
Yeah, I think everyone goes on their own path, but I think it's getting better now. But when I was a student, it was very much, this is the one path, and it is, do your clerkships and get a grad job, and that's it. On that, thought, oh, okay, I've missed out on the pathway. But I think unis are starting to get hopefully a bit better now at exposing people to in-house opportunities, government opportunities, and all that. So for me, the student transition into the profession, I think it was interesting because I went to Griffith University, which was very progressive, very supportive. And I've been, openly gay for quite some time. And I think at uni, I was just constantly comfortable. Like, it was never a problem. And when I transitioned into the profession, it was kind of this, I did work at a firm that, didn't have a network in place. There weren't many visible, not only people in the LGBT plus community, but also not many allies visible. And I think, I copped some comments in my view, quite shocking. Like in 2015, a partner told me my sexuality would hold back my career, and I kind of like, you just believe it because it's someone at the pinnacle of the profession kind of saying this is what's, you know, going to happen to you. And yeah, so it kind of kept having, I guess, conversations like that. And it eventually got to this breaking point where an incident happened that was very public, and suddenly everyone was asking me, what are you going to do about it? Like, how do you want to approach it? And at that point, I was like, I kind of want to leave this profession. And I genuinely considered quitting. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to quit, then I'm going to go out with a bang. So I decided to speak out and, yeah, really start some conversations at that firm about how people in the rainbow community were being treated. And, you know, not just the overt comments, but also the passive comments. And so a network started there, and I helped them with that for a year and a couple months. And then I kind of just got tired, because I think it's really hard when you're trying to, obviously, as a junior, like learn all these professional skills in your legal practice area, but then also trying to like change an entire culture of a firm and bring people up to speed on education and the right, you know, I guess, kind of terms to use and all that. So it was just a lot. And I just went, I think I've done my part there. And so then I moved to Herbert Smith Freehills, and they are very far advanced with diversity and inclusion. So I don't even have to try to educate anyone or take that part. So I guess my advice to people with, you know, when you're, you know, transitioning from student into the profession is, you have all these assumptions, or you think you know what's going to happen, but every place is different and every team is different, and you kind of have to just keep trying to find your place, whatever that is for you, and don't look at, you know, what other people are doing, because they're on a different path.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And honestly, it must have taken, you know, immense strength to just keep persisting and keep dealing with that day to day. What advice would you have for someone, I guess, in a similar position in today's days, which is, well, I'm hoping it would be not as bad, but I know there is still some bits still remaining. What would you give them to continue to persist if, you know, law is their passion?
Yeah, I think a few things. One is that you've tried so hard to get here. So as I'm sure you know, like, you know, 5 to 6 years of, you know, countless nights of not sleeping and studying and being stressed. And so that's a good chunk of your life to spend to achieve something, to then give it up so quickly. So I think even if you are going through a rough patch or facing difficult challenges, like, just remind yourself, oh, I've spent 5 to 6 years to get here, so I should just keep going at least for a little bit. I totally understand if, you know, mentally you just need to take a break or, you know, get out. I think another thing is, it does get better. Like, I think when you're in a really stressful or moment where you feel helpless, because you're starting your career, that's the extent of your career. So you're like, oh, this is it. This is all I'll have in law. But as you go on, and whether it requires you to move or change teams or something, then you start to realize you have a long career ahead of you, and there will always be good and bad times, but I think you start to work out where to find the good times. And yeah, I think it's just important to not, I think you see the world through your prism. So when you start your career, you're like, oh, this is what the legal profession is like because I've started here. But the legal profession is very diverse and different at, you know, private sector firms compared to government and all the rest. So I think it's important to just have that perspective, and to find mentors. I think we're doing better as a profession of creating visible mentors for people to chat to if, yeah, they're just not sure of where they're heading. So it provides some comfort.
Yeah, that's such great insight. And I'm guessing that's, I guess, why you created the Pride in Law page. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So Dean Clifford Jones, who sits on the parole board for Queensland, founded it in 2017. And it was an interesting time because he was founding it while I was speaking out, linked at the end of 2017, and I got on board quite quickly. And yeah, Dean's perspective of founding it was because he came back to Brisbane from Rockhampton, and there were still so many rainbow lawyers that weren't out in their workplaces. And statistics show us that 49% of rainbow millennials are not out at the workplace. And it's a reminder of, I guess the data speaks for itself, how far we have to go. But I think, yeah, when Dean founded it, it was very much, we just need something. We need a space. And now it's become, very exciting, and it's an unincorporated association limited by guarantee. So we're starting to expand. COVID obviously has slowed some of those plans, but we're working on it. And it's found so education, visibility, and advocacy. So for the education front, we are very much trying to show not only the legal community, but the general public, I guess, the issues that we're still facing. I think with marriage equality, everyone was like, oh, that's it. Okay, we're done. And there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think a lot of progress has been made, and we should all be very proud of that. But there's still things that we need to work on. And then the visibility, just, showcasing role models, sharing diverse stories. We're very passionate about intersectionality. So, engaging with women and Indigenous lawyers and Asian lawyers and all those groups that represent, we collaborate with them heaps, because that's the best way to make sure that all the audiences are coming together. You don't want to be speaking to the converted because then you don't change anyone's mind. And then in advocacy, we've done a lot for domestic violence and abuse, and we've made submissions on the Commonwealth Religious Freedom Bill, and we've also been encouraging state governments to introduce legislation to ban conversion therapy. So a lot's happening for a completely volunteer organization, but it's something that I think we're all very passionate about. And when you have people who are passionate, they just make time for it.
Yeah, no, that's such good, so good, and I'm fully supportive for it. How do people get in contact with you if they want to chat or if they want to find more information?
Yeah, definitely. So our website's easy, prideinlaw.org. So you can go on there and you'll see the contact details. You can fill in an inquiry form, or otherwise I'm happy for you to contact me directly. So you can just email vicepresident.qld@prideinlaw.org. There might be an AU on that. Should probably check that while I'm telling everyone. But we're really accessible, at least from a online perspective. We also do monthly socials just to make sure that we're allowing that opportunity for people to come and have, whatever drink they would like, whether it's soft drink or there's no AU in my email. And I found the monthly socials a really good environment. So that at the moment we're in Queensland and Western Australia, and we're slowly expanding further. But those events are a really great opportunity to just show up and kind of have a drink, not feel like anyone in the room is going to judge you. You can disclose as much about yourself as you like. Doesn't matter if you're in the community or as an ally. And I've seen some really great results of people who have come to those regularly, and that's the only thing they come to for us, and they absolutely love it, and they just feel like, well, one night a month I get to be myself. So I think it's a great way. If you don't feel comfortable putting anything in writing or anything like that, then it's a great way to just show up and be present.
So where in Queensland are you doing those at the moment? Or it's just
so we're doing
with COVID?
Yeah, they had to stop during COVID, and now we're getting towards the end of the year. We're fortunate that in Queensland we will be able fourth annual address with President Kingham of the Land Court delivering that. So they'll be at the Benko Court on 13 November. If you go on our social media search for it, you should be able to find that. And then we'll probably be looking to bring monthly socials back next year. At the moment, well, to date, they've been in the Gresham, but yeah, we're kind of trying to comply with all the rules and everything and make sure that, yeah, obviously safety is the first priority for us.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I'd love to come down and I guess even just to meet you in person, to have a chat and just meet everyone else and yes, just show support for it.
Yeah.
That's really all I had for you today. I guess on a final note, whether it's as a student or as a lawyer, what's one thing you wish you knew? Well, sorry, one thing that you know now that you wish you knew back then.
That's a really good question. And I always try to think of my, I guess, most important one for it. Yeah, I touched on it before, but I do think it's a really important one that I've learned is that, yeah, everyone goes on their own path. And I think universities almost effectively train us to constantly almost a competitive environment to get the best marks, and everyone's always talking about what marks they get and all the rest of it. And so then when you enter the profession, sometimes that carries through, but really it's everyone has their own path, everyone has their own definition of success, and I think that one person's definition of success is not the same for someone else. So I think it's really important to just not compare yourself to others, and to just keep working on your own path. I think that's what I would try to pass on to my younger self.
Yeah, that's such great advice, and that's something I've really been emphasizing on with these podcasts is interviewing different solicitors because they've all got different stories. Not a single person has got the same story as someone else, and I'm glad you said it because I'm really trying to push it across. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. It's actually been a really great pleasure to chat to you and hear about your story, and I'd love to stay in contact.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me. And hopefully next year we can proceed with the monthly socials. We'll see you down there.
Yeah, sounds good.